Students, now that we have learnt about rainfall, let's have a look at rivers in this section. Have you wondered what happens to all the water that falls on the earth's surface?
While some of the rainfall percolates and penetrates into the soil, some of the rainfall flows on the surface of the land and the remaining becomes water vapor and mixes with the air.
Now, let's see what happens to the rain that flows on the surfaces of the land. Students, you must have observed that the rainwater flows down into the streams from the slopes.
The water flows from the mountain slopes into small streams during the rainy season. But these streams dry up during summer season, though the water cuts various channels on the mountains.
When there is a rainfall, the water again flows through the same channels. This is how river courses and river valleys are formed. Now, let's see how the streams transform into broad rivers.
The rivers are generally like a thin stream at the source or the originating point of the river. These streams, as they flow further, become broader as many other small streams merge in the flow. These rivers or streams that join a large river are called tributaries. The flow of the rivers gets slower as they become bigger and vaster. The rivers then start to deposit sand and silt that it has carried in the flow on the banks and beds of the rivers, which leads to the formation of the plains.
Students, this is how the plains are formed. You must have remembered the lesson on the village on plains that you have learnt in class 6. Now, let's see how the rivers join the sea. The flow of the rivers becomes slower as it nears the sea. Also, the rivers will no longer be able to carry the sand and silt at this stage. The sand and silt is deposited on its own course and then gets filled up. When there is a huge flow of water during the floods, they cut net channels to reach the sea. This is how a delta is formed by the river.
The deltas are the fertile regions formed by the rivers. The two main deltas in Andhra Pradesh are the Krishna Delta and Godavari Delta.
Students, as you all know, the Krishna and Godavari are the two large rivers and are perennial rivers flowing through Andhra Pradesh. The perennial rivers are the rivers that flow throughout the year. The Krishna and Godavari are the perennial rivers with water all throughout the year. There are also a large number of rivers that have water only during the rainy season.
The rivers like Krishna and Godavari have their originating points in the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats receives heavy rainfall. The rainwater percolates into the ground and gradually flows into the rivers throughout the year. The rivers which start in the Eastern Ghats receive moderate rainfall and there is rapid flow of water into the sea. As a result, the rivers become dry in the non-rainy season. But the rivers from the Rayalaseema regions like Penna and others do not receive good rainfall. Floods and floodplains.